Hey, Ro.
Hey, what's up?
I just got home.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, today was
That
gonna be
sounds...
rough.
Nah. Pepper... Elevorn, you had received some potion salves you created. Drand, you got the feat of engineering that your kobolds and the Hearthforge clergy had constructed. Much research on the part of Netadian and Era with regards to spells and potential uses for the glyph of warding, a constant. What are we going to do with that? And all seem to be trucking along to the point where you would set this trap and confront this dragon when a little bit of a curveball was sent your way in the form of a letter from the Duke Horacio Sterling, the Duke of the Southern Provinces, head of the Council of Lords and the People, essentially stating that if you can kill the dragon, great, that is obviously number one priority, and don't take this any other way as not saying that's number one priority. However, in their attempts to stave off the dragon's attacks, they had offered up treasures already, treasures that this dragon had presumably taken back to its hoard, and that wealth could be used positively for the people of the southern provinces, specifically those affected by the dragon's haphazard attacks, and mostly affecting those that don't reside within the towns or cities yet, but on the countryside in their own little farmsteads, many of them displaced by the presence of this creature. And so, upon receiving this news and contemplating it amongst yourselves, it seemed like a decision had been made to tweak the plan a bit. Still got follow through with the traps to ensnare and catch the creature unawares, yet not to slay it on the spot, but instead find a way to follow it back to its lair, back to its whatever it's setting down as its home here in the southern provinces, and to reacquire the treasure that had been gifted to it. And that's about where we left off last. Are there any additions, questions, comments, concerns? If not, we pick up the next morning, 3 days until the deadline, 3 days until the dragon, until Sidna, the Ember Spark, claimed she would return near Alpont, to claim her demands. Early in the morning, here in Ambervale, there's a little bit of a not quite a disturbance, but there is unusual activity going on in the town, signaled by um, the arrival of maybe 3 or 4 dozen individuals new to Ambervale, all dressed very similarly and all in the dress of the Platinum Aegis. Coming through the gates, they make their way through the town towards the Temple of Bahamut. After inquiring for a bit, you find out that, specifically you, Delan, would find out that these are members of the Order from all over uh, the Empire. And amidst them are apparently 2 of the more esteemed, higher up members of the Aegis. And should you choose to investigate further, you could perhaps find Svenfrid about what's going on here.
I am curious, I suppose.
Okay. So, you do notice that there are 2 individuals that are with this caravan. Uh, this looks like this group of Platinum Aegis members, and along with them, they've brought many beasts of burdens to pull their carts. They seem to have brought many supplies, not just foodstuffs, but other things that, as they begin to get unloaded, seem a bit odd. Some seem to be sort of religious idols and trinkets. There are tapestries and flags and large, what looks like materials for building something. Is what it looks like at a glance. 2 stand out from the rest, not only in their attire, but in the way that the other members of the Aegis sort of make room for them and defer to them. One of them is a human woman with short brown hair, little wisps of gray running through it, the signs of age just kind of starting to form and show on her face, where crow's feet and a little bit of wrinkles around the lips are beginning to form. Nonetheless, very well put together, and a half-elven man, quite a bit taller than her. Tall for an elf, not as tall as you, maybe about 6'1", 6'2" or so. And he has long, smooth, silvery hair, steely eyes, and seems a bit younger and also a bit less inviting, rather, than his counterpart here. The 2 of them are dressed in robes, quite elegant robes. They obviously put effort into it to make this appearance and entrance. Both of them. Sorry. Both of them are wearing these robes, very much in the color with the crest of the Aegis. But on their shoulders is a sort of, I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember the word. Like it's like an epaulet, like the things that you see on military uniforms with the tassels and that, like on the old timey military uniforms. It's kind of in that style,
Oh, okay.
but they are more in like the design of flaring out with a single wing, each one wearing one of them and on opposite shoulders. Currently, they are speaking with Svenkrid, and as you are standing on, sort of approaching the area and standing a bit back, as there seems to be formal greetings going on, and um, you kind of take your time and let them converse about whatever they're conversing about before, after maybe a minute or two, some of the initiates, younger members of the Aegis native here to Ambervale, uh, are instructed to direct these two individuals into the temple. And they walk with almost a stiff posture, very formal, up the steps of the temple and inside, as Frankfurt begins to move and turn and direct other initiates and uh, those arriving here on where they can take or place or stage whatever it is that they have brought in on these carts.
I'm waiting patiently for my turn.
So you're kind of just edging your way forward. He's not directly engaged with anyone. He's just kind of uh, directing traffic at this point. Eventually, Torban does come and take over, the gruffly voiced dwarf, kind of shouting out orders as if it's, his favorite thing to do. As you approach, Svengrid uh, a takes a flask of water from off of his belt, takes a sip of it, and places it back as you approach.
So, hey,
Ah, Durand, yes. I was actually about to send for you. Um, Surprise. This is not exactly how I had anticipated it happening, but here we are. Um, do you recall back in the capital when we spoke with the Emperor, the matter of the Fang and Claw of the Aegis?
oh yes. How could I forget?
Well, as I said then, and now it is uh, not my duty nor my right as scale bearer now to appoint one. However, I can make recommendations, as you know. And he kind of nods to you, saying, he would like you to take his former title, essentially. But the ones who are responsible for making such decisions, they have arrived. And it seems they would like to address the matter sooner rather than later. I had anticipated dealing with this after we had met the dragon and dealt with that, but it seems things might be a little more complicated.
Well, yeah, you could definitely say all that again.
They are aware now, if they were not before, of the direness and urgency of the matter in which you are attempting to deal with. However, this is also a matter of quite some import, And, well, unfortunately, as with all, most, if not all, organizations, there is a level of politicking to be done. And they should wish to, I suppose the best word would be interview you, as you are, first and foremost, my recommendation for the spot of Fang and Claw, and no doubt there are many in the Order aspiring for such a position. The position, rather.
Is there? Well, I imagine this is happening sooner rather than later.
Indeed. I have posed the idea of perhaps expediting the process and pushing things forward so that we could get back to focusing on Sidna. But it seems like this will have to happen in the next couple of days, if that is all right. Is everything in? Do you have everything in order for your encounter with the dragon? More or less.
More or less at finalizing everything, yeah.
Well, if it won't take away from that, then I would urge you to place this as a matter of priority. If it is, well, there's a lot going on, is there not? To get the backing of the Emperor, the ships, the crew, to make our voyage to Draconia relies on your appointment as Fang and Claw. At least that was the Emperor's stipulation.
Yeah. So, I mean, if this is happening sooner rather than later, I guess, do you have any last bits, quick of tips and advice you can give me about this whole thing?
Appearances, though not everything are of some import. We have many other members that may have only heard your name in passing. You are something of a local legend here in the provinces, especially in Ambervale. But these individuals come from the furthest reach of the Empire, and some from even a little beyond. So, appearances are important. Carry yourself well. Polish up your armor, you know. Get your tabard washed, perhaps. Simple. As far as the interviewing process, the questions, that I cannot truly advise you on, as the process is determined by the wings, and I have never quite seen any two the same, although I've only been witness to a couple of them, one of which being my own.
I see. That's understandable. If anything, that idea alone is advice enough.
Okay. And so, just putting out there, the rest of you could have easily tagged along if you were interested. If not, what are you doing? Did anybody else accompany Duran here to the temple?
Well, it's not like I wouldn't be curious.
Okay. Well, if one, yeah, you can be there. Why not? There's no reason why anybody else couldn't have been witness to this conversation. It's not like it's private property.
Well, I would probably just kind of like hang back and let him talk to people, you know? So I wouldn't be like in the middle of everything.
Okay.
But eventually I'd probably like go to Durand and kind of like poke him in the arm.
Svenford gives you a good morning. Well, with that being said, there will be a banquet, a feast tonight. I should hope you will attend, Ron. You are no other way to put it but expect.
Of course.
I do not know much of these wings. They're not the same ones that appointed me title of Fang and Claw, so I don't know them personally. Only in strict Aegis business have we ever interacted, and most of that through letters or sendings.
I suppose I should have come earlier and introduced myself to them then.
There'll be more than enough time for that. They shall make sure of it. However, they are inside.
Well, yes, I'll. What do you say?
You're gonna head inside, Dun? Into the temple?
I was gonna say let's rip the band-aid, but I don't know if band-aids exist.
Let's rip the gut bandage. Ah!
Yeah.
Alright, so Daran begins to head towards the temple. Elevor?
Svengrid?
Yes.
What are their names like really fast like so I can go tell him?
The woman, she is Justine, and the half-elf, he is Leaworth.
Leia and Justin. Got it.
No, she's gone. Elevon comes bounding up behind you, Durand, as you scale the steps to the front entrance.
The lady's name is Justin something, and something about Leia something. The other one.
Leia and Justin. The woman's name is Justin? And the gentleman's Leia?
Maybe I got mixed up, but you should just introduce you, and then maybe they'll introduce them. But I don't know if you're supposed to already know them. Are you excited? I'm kind of excited. Are you worried? Because I'm a little worried.
Somehow those are one and the same at the moment.
Well, you've totally got this, and then like prestidigitation of the fireworks, like, you know.
Thanks.
You got this.
I hope so.
So, you proceed?
Yeah.
Are you accompanying him, Elevorn, or no?
Going to like straighten my hair out a little bit and like dust myself off and just kind of like put this like a straight face. Just do something unnaturally Elevorn with my face. Like,
Very good. All right. So, with this unnatural, prim, what Elevorn would consider proper at your side, Elevorn, make a performance check. Delon, you enter the temple. And beyond the pews towards where the effigy of Bahamut is, overlooking the interior, standing with their backs currently towards you, facing the statue, you can see their hands are in front of them, perhaps clasped, their heads, faces turned towards Bahamut. You can see the statue of Bahamut, its wings mirrored by these twos, the adornments on their shoulder, sort of mirroring those wings itself. There's a silence, almost. You can hear, from this distance, it's almost a whisper, but the half-elf is reciting dogma and scripture of Bahamut, teachings passed down both via word of mouth and text.
Say this is.
Sorry?
I would say this is. The nervousness is kind of gone. A little bit more at ease.
Partway through, he stops, and without missing a beat, the woman takes over and continues where he had left off. A lot of it are things that you've gone over with Svenkrid, teachings that you, in your time with the Aegis, have heard, and kind of almost a bit surprising to yourself, knowing these things by memory. And as you kind of take a few steps forward, even under your breath, mouthing along with the woman as she recites, you stop a respectable distance away and let them complete their prayers. Standing there for maybe 4 or 5 minutes. At the end, they turn their faces from Bahamut, bow their heads in deference, and move to place a few new additions to the temple's main relics. They turn near in unison. As they turn, they actually sort of cross each other, so that as they're walking, the orientation of the wings is always correct. As one has one on one shoulder and one has it on the other. So now you are standing with the woman on your left and the man on your right. A woman speaks first as the half-elf, his steely, unblinking gaze meets yours, only for but a flicker, does he acknowledge Elevorn's presence, instead just kind of searching your face, your eyes. Sort of half smile on his face. We were hoping it would be sooner rather than later. We would get acquainted. By what Svenflid has told us. You are Brother Duen.
Yes, I am.
I am Justine. And this
A pleasure.
is Leo wife. He gives you a nod.
A pleasure to meet you both.
We have heard much, not only from Svenflid and others of the Order, but from the people. You have something of a legend surrounding you, you and your friends. The stories of what it is you have done seem to err on myth. It is our duty as the wings of Bahamut to cut through that and find out if the man behind the deeds is truly worthy of elevation. So I should hope that we get to know each other better in these coming days.
Despite the tense circumstances, likewise, I hope so as well.
She nods. The half-elf there still not scowling or sneering or anything menacing, but just a very calm, straight face with intense eyes. They sort of begin to move forward almost in unison, and Dara and Delavorn, you step to the side, allowing them to pass. They give you nods and meet your gaze, and head out of the temple.
Duran lets out a long breath.
So you're a legend. Elvord nods.
I wouldn't say that. But
Well, she did.
I suppose I should have been a bit more humble in the moment.
Well, there wasn't. She was just talking. You were listening. It would have been rude to interrupt her, right?
I thought so too. I appreciated the kind words. That went well, I think.
That made me really uneasy. It's just very. Don't know what to do with what was going on with his face. Talking quietly.
You you heard a few moments ago the sound of the doors opening, closing again, signaling the exit of the wings. Not long after, doors open again, and members of the Aegis kind of now, seemingly in with a bit of urgency, come in and start to prepare and set up for this banquet, this feast, just getting the area ready, moving furnitures around, and getting things prepared for the evening.
I don't know. Can I help, I suppose?
Okay. You spend some time helping out, and it doesn't take too long. End to end, four long dinner tables have been placed. Basically, just one long feast table has been set up here, running essentially down the center of the temple itself to the point where it's maybe about 15-20 feet away from where the statue of Bahamut is. And it takes you until maybe about late morning, early afternoon. You spend time working along mostly initiates, Varlock included, who seems to be met with, let's call it, curiosity by those who are not native to Amberville. People meeting him seem to be a bit off put at first uh, by the initial reaction. However, we don't seem to show prejudice against him. They don't. There's no malice there. There's the order, and he is an initiate, just like many others are. One aspiring to be brother or sister of the Aegis. And so he gets the same amount of shit as any other initiate would. But you step out into the early afternoon air and realize that you've, put in a good bit of work. Not sure exactly where Svankrid or the two wings had gotten to, but you have until evening to prepare yourself in whatever way you see fit for this banquet. Now, Era, Neredion, you wake up in morning time. Durand and Elavorn went off to investigate something in the Aegis. You've got the day to focus on whatever it is that you wish to focus on. There's still perhaps things concerning the dragon that you are to fight in 3 days' time that you could work towards, or other endeavors should you wish.
Well, Uh,
You go ahead first, Max.
sure. For the most part, I feel as if I would still try to find as much more information as I could on the dragons, just information in general about dragons. I would have discussed as well with we're in Ambervale, correct?
Yes.
So then I would have discussed um with Rogueskern and Nabal if they were not, busy to listen.
Okay. Got to make an investigation check, and I'll make one for Rogueskern and Naval as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that checks for Naval. Yeah.
Uh 24 total.
Okay. So, in your investigation here in Ambervale, you don't have a compendium of on dragons. There's no big library of books and scrolls and recordings of dragons and everything like that. But as you get to talking about it, the kind of things that you want to maybe learn, is there anything specifically that you would like to figure out? As you and Rogueskern are mostly doing the brainstorming and talking, and while Naval is there, Rogueskern seems maybe even more nervous than you are, if you even than you feel. Obviously, you don't seem nervous. You would never show nervousness, of course. But Rogueskern seems pretty concerned for you, especially after hearing about your first encounter with this creature and seeing you in the direct aftermath, which wasn't the best sight. It's still kind of flaking a bit in places. But is there anything specifically that you
I would say that Era, for the most part, would feel restless. Definitely, although she may appear to be together, she's kind of just trying to hound on any information, so she's not necessarily focused either. So, in a sense, yes, she's trying to find information regarding dragons, but she is very distracted. So uh, probably not entirely sure of what she should be looking for.
Okay.
Maybe in a bit of frustration, she'll just kind of toss a book aside and pace back and forth.
Rogueskern, he said, perhaps we are looking in the wrong places. Maybe we shouldn't focus on dragons in general, but more this dragon specifically.
Specifically towards
Yes,
red
yes,
dragon.
this is the one that we're fighting. We're not fighting a generalized. You're not going to fight a generalized red dragon. You're going to fight this specific red dragon. I have a thought, something that maybe could help. Perhaps it would require a bit of a field trip to Vasselholm.
I'm not even gonna say no. At this point, you're right. I don't know why I haven't even thought of that myself. More specific, more.
Naval is sitting there, like her hair draped over her face, head in hand, bored, like with a quill, book open, but like no, her eyes nowhere near it, and she's just kind of like, she wrote like maybe a line and a half of attempted notes on dragons, and then is just like kind of doodling a dragon fighting people on.
Well, are you against a field trip, Naval?
What?
I'm gonna take that as a yes.
Uh,
We're going.
Oh, we're leaving? Awesome! Count me in. So you guys take You guys head to Vassal using the teleportation circle spell, informing those in the tower ahead of your arrival so that they could anticipate you and uh, escort you through the tower to Vassal home at street level.
I will also, if possible, just very briefly communicate to the team via bracelet that I'm leaving later. Moment. For a bit.
And so, Skern, it's like, well, you're walking through the marbled crozier. You can see that in the distance, the Emerald Collective, there are a bit of scaffolding around where the damage to the building was, and repairs seem to be underway. It seems to be patched up, but not anywhere near completion. And just sort of a quick flashback to that night with the drow and the dragonborn, and then the red dragon appearing and flying overhead towards the ocean, and Roxgren asks, snapping you out of this. So, where was it that you had fought the creature, fought the dragon? Where was it?
I'm going to, I guess, direct them in the general area.
Okay. And you head in that direction, and as you get closer and move outside of the marbled crozier towards Melora's lap, where the dragon had crash landed due to Brontosaurus, and you had engaged it, you can see the house, building, whatever it had slid and crashed into, along with Durandosaurus. It's still pretty much in ruins. A lot of the pieces had been picked up, but it doesn't look like there was any real attempt to rebuild that building as of right now. You can still see where a huge swath of the cobblestone ground had just been tore up by these massive creatures impacting and sliding along it. You can even see still at some point, because of your investigation checks as well as rope skirms, where some of the indication of the charred ground and burnt rock, where the dragon had used its breath attack. And between you and Roskern and Naval being there, you look around and you kind of get an idea, and sort of after a while you find each of you guys standing at 3 different points, making a sort of elongated triangle shape, basically outlining the extent of this dragon's devastating attack. And you find that the dragon's breath attack has a reach of about 60 feet.
I'm sorry, to clarify, you said 60 feet?
60 feet, yeah. It's like
Okay.
a 60-foot cone. After spending, a few hours overturning rocks and carefully mapping out exactly what seems to have been affected, and hoping that nothing got too disturbed since that night, you get to the conclusion that this is probably accurate, and it does take you guys a couple hours of just rooting around in the dirt and rock to establish this area of effect. And Naval is currently standing at what would be the point of origin where the dragon would have breathed its attack. You and Roskern are near the ends, and after discovering this, you kind of head towards each other and talk about it. And all right, so next time when you next face this creature, and he kind of looks towards Naval and looks at the ground and where you two are standing and takes a few steps further away from Naval. Be around here, if not even further away. Just try to get a size for it, a gauge for the distance, I suppose. Might save you a few nasty burns.
More than just a few nasty burns, that's for sure. I don't want to put myself at risk like that again. Embarrassing as it was.
I should not be embarrassed about nearly dying. That's not... embarrassed if you spill an inkwell on your pants or something like that. Not about nearly dying. That's something that... embarrassment's not quite the word. But if it is embarrassment, and if embarrassment motivates you to not repeat that, then by all means, please be embarrassed.
I'm trying not to be, but you're right, it was more than that. Just I guess things. I've found out more with you guys here than I would have alone. And
Hey guys, can we get something to eat?
I'm gonna ignore her. And really, just thank you guys. Well, you know,
She can't hear you, but she's too far.
no, well, yeah. We'll just ignore her for now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's not any... It's not just your life. It's more than that at this point. But it's still your life. And you kind of get like this weird... It's hard to concentrate on both his voice and the voice of Naval in your head via the spinning spell. Hey guys, let's get something to eat. You look over there, kind of like glare over, and she's just...
I'm gonna cast Resilience Fee on her and put her in the bubble.
What's the... is there a saving throw for that?
Let me see. I don't think so, but let me triple check.
I think that there has to be. You can't just put anybody you
Oh,
want.
okay. Dexterity 18 DC.
Dex 18. Okay. Well, hopefully I won't have to dredge up Naval's sheet. Okay, no, that's a natural 6. She doesn't have a plus 12. Naval's in the bottom.
It wasn't a hamster ball.
Like the realization of what you've done after you cast the spell, and she just sulks a bit, leans back on it, and slowly just rotates until she's like that.
If she studied harder, she might have the spell to get rid of it.
I'm tired, so I'm just gonna lay on the burnt ground and stare up at the sky. Thank you.
Stern stands maybe about 5 feet away from you. So it looks to Naval, who's reclining in the resilient sphere, resigned to her current predicament. Who's staring up at the sky, which is fairly clear. Seems like there might be hints of a storm moving in, but probably not for some time.
I wanted to check out the Emerald Collective, but I know they've got their own issues and recovery to worry about.
Yes. A lot going on. We can worry about that in hopefully a few days' time. Let's keep our sights on survival now and killing this damn thing.
Killing it, huh?
Well, that's the goal, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, we were at a disadvantage before. I will say that. We'll see, but I can't overestimate it. All right, I think Naval's gonna probably eat through the sphere. Leaving stuff in.
You're gonna drop it?
Yeah, I'll drop.
You drop it, and she kind of like lands on the ground. Now, back of her robe's dirtied, much like yours, but she seems to be a little more perturbed by it as you make your way to your feet, and as the three of you begin to convene, Rogue Skern just says to you before you all meet up again. Era, tell me you are not too proud.
What?
What I mean is, you will not. Tell me you won't die for your pride. If worse comes to worse, going to, and you can't beat this thing. You're not going to die for this, right?
I won't try to put myself at risk. There's a lot more that needs to get done that I feel I can be more useful towards. And I don't intend to die, but I also know my intention alone won't save me. So I'll do my best, but it's just... And for a moment, I think about my sister and my brother and my family, like a quick flash. And I'm just like, yeah, there's a lot that needs to get done. So I promise, but if I break my promise, then you can bring me back to life or something and yell at me.
I'd rather not come to that. One, I don't understand. And that whole... I don't understand it, and that whole area of... I hesitate to even call it magic. It kind of weirds me out, to be honest. Mostly because I can't understand it for the life of me.
I'm not going to pretend I do either. I've seen things and have witnessed things and experienced things that can be short of a miracle or something, but it does exist. And just like with anything else in history, all sorts of magic, it's still,
Yes.
at least to me,
I suppose I can't simply deny its existence, much as I would like to, but the fact that it does means it must be able to be explained. There is an explanation out there. But that's another research for another time, I suppose. And at this time, the three of you have reconvened, and I guess decide to head out to get some food. Much to Naval's delight. Neredian,
Yes.
what did you want to do?
I would like to go see Mother. Take a break from all this, like, yeah.
So Did she set up somewhere doing something? I know she had plans, but I don't think it got set up yet.
Yeah, I don't think those got set up.
Still in the planning. Still requires funding. Anyways. You meet up with Marianne, your mother. Neredian. Always. Good to see you. You look well. And you can see she still sort of has the serpentine aspect of the eye, but she otherwise looks healthy. Her skin is vibrant. She's smiling. Her hair seems nice, and she's well put together. She's confident and beaming. Seems like a bit of a stirring going on this morning. Many of those temple types came in. Not sure what that's all about. Perhaps they're forming an army to face this dragon alongside you?
Yeah, I don't know either what they're really off here for, but that would be my assumption also, that maybe they are here to help us, but at the same time I'm not really counting on it, I guess. But it's what it is, I guess. I mean, I guess Durant went to see them or something, maybe, so I'll have to ask him later.
Well, are you ready? I've heard this thing is going back to Alpont in only a few days. I've seen you and your friends work. I have no doubt there's anything that you can't accomplish together. I must admit, I am a bit nervous, though.
Yeah, I'm nervous too. That kind of also makes me feel that I'm not maybe ready for this, but we got this somehow. I'm sure of it.
I believe in you, and there's a huge part of me that just wants to take you and lock you in your room and not let you go. There's the other part of me, the one who looks at you and sees the strength you have, and more importantly, what you have done with it, and what you seem to want to do with it, and I can't take that away from you. I won't. It makes me proud that this is even something that you're willing to do. And she just kind of looks at you like there are more words, but she can't find them. Seems like she kind of shakes that off and completely changes the subject. Anyways, tell me more about Isaiah.
It's gonna flush a little bit, and what about him?
Well, I mean, just going to be honest. When you were growing up, of course, as a mother, I always thought about your future, what you would grow up to be like, what kind of man you would eventually attract or be attracted to, and perhaps settle down with. And I must say, some skinny bookworm was never quite what I had imagined.
Mom!
I'm just saying, I mean, he could afford to That's a bit more.
Or maybe I need to bring him here so you can make us a nice big dinner and have him eat. But
You know what? That sounds like a good idea. How about as soon as you can after you're done with your business? The night after, not a moment later.
yeah, that is
4
good.
days from now.
4 days from now.
Yes. Well, there we have it. Now you have to show.
True. Now I have to. But what else? I mean, I don't. He just kind of showed up, I guess you could say. There was this big event coming up, and for some reason he asked me to go with him, and I don't know. Things just went from there, and he's been nice. He's been really nice, and
Is he honest?
yeah, I'd say he is honest. Yes, I haven't had any reason to really doubt him or anything. So
Whatever the case, clearly has excellent taste. After all, take more to me than your father's.
yeah, that is true. I think I look more like you also.
And there's like the moment after making the sort of light-hearted comment, there was a sort of like twinge in the eyes and around the corner of the mouth after mentioning your father, and a sort of hastiness to keep the conversation going. And she decides to take you back to the place that you had her set up in, and you guys enjoy a pretty simple lunch with what she can make with what she has in her kitchen area, and you guys just talk.
Catch
And
up.
yeah, like more, catching up and talking about the future. She likes it here in Ambervale, not just because it seems to be the place that, it's a place that you've built, the place that you've come over in the proximity, but she's taken a liking to the people and more the culture of Ambervale. It's a very relatively small, close-knit community. Everyone pretty much knows everybody else because the ones who stayed, who are here, are ones who had been here pretty much from the time of retaking Brushburn in the war effort, or the raising an army effort, rather. And the ones who stayed are the ones who made the conscious choice to be here. So everyone who's here wants to be here, and everyone who's here wants to contribute in some way, pretty much. That, and she feels she resonates with that and wants to herself as well contribute how she can. And throughout the course of the meal, she tells you her ideas, her plans to restart up something of a school for children.
A school. That's a good idea. It's yeah, I don't think it's doubt anybody has ever thought about that really. I don't know. This
Something to keep them engaged when the cold months come around, or where there's no field work to be done or livestock to be tended, at least. And perhaps I've lived in small towns along the empire. I've lived in the city, as you know, where you grew up. And the difference between one of these small rural farming villages or towns and the thriving metropolis city is the level of education afforded to people there, and it has to start somewhere. I'm not by any means one capable of teaching adults or possibly even teenagers, but the young ones, the ones who just need help with their letters and numbers, I can do that. And to start, it's a necessary one, I feel.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's a necessary one, but it definitely is a good one also. So that's a good plan, and I'm sure you can, teach the kids really well.
I think I could help. You guys finish up lunch. Share hugs, squeezes you tightly as you leave, and she gets back to her business. She seems more motivated towards her goal after speaking with you, and is going to go around and begin talking to certain people about potentially getting the ball rolling on her idea, her plan, her goal. Anyways, Durand, Elevorn, what are you doing? How are you preparing for this evening, Durand? And are you with him assisting Elevorn, or are you off doing something else?
Guess I'm just taking Sven's advice. I'm just cleaning my
Polishing up the armor, sword, shield, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Attempting to clean your tabard and the cloth bits of your attire. What kind of check? What's the laundry check?
the laundry check. Dexterity?
Is it dexterity?
Yes.
Guess it could be.
Could be.
A sleight
about-
of hand.
That's
What
also
about like
isn't that
strength or constitution to like
Strength?
maintain?
True.
How?
How can you
You're
bring
out
it
there
out?
with a basin of water and like the old time like laundry scrubber. You're just like gritting against it.
that makes
That's how you
sense
clean
actually.
Makes sense. Is it strength?
Maybe it's Constitution. I think the Constitution
Or
one.
just, like the ability to keep doing it because it's like
Yeah,
it's,
keep focus on it because it can get boring.
Keep focus. That would be wisdom, though, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Let's say Constitution.
I don't think it's a. I don't think it's a necessarily. Especially for you, Doran. It's not like there's a chance that you're gonna pass out from exhaustion doing laundry. Like you are well conditioned enough that you can handle that task. Sure. I'll say wisdom check to maintain focus on what you're doing, and as well your sort of attention to detail to the cleanliness of the wash that you're doing.
Just wanted me to add a +1. My stats
As
are
opposed
here
to a
like,
plus
no,
two?
+2. Fine, I like the number 18 better than 19.
Even number.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as the tabard is up to dry, drips with slightly sudsy water. Not too soapy, but just slight. It looks good. It's kind of, blowing a bit in the wind, which is a little bit above a breeze, but not too heavy. And you feel confident, at least in what you will be wearing this evening. The other parts of it, what they might ask of you or towards you, or how they will judge you, or the conversation that's going on, that part you're not so sure about. As the minutes and hours kind of go on, Era, you and Rosker Naval make your way back. Actually, I need to roll a dice about that. Are you going to teleport back, or how are you getting back to Amberville? Because that's a tricky thing. Because there's no circle there. It's easy to leave Amberville, not so much to get back.
Let's see.
The teleport spell has potential complications.
Oh, I like that.
You like that?
Hell yeah. Roll me with Destiny. Throw me at.
Okay. Asking Elephorn is too complicated, so...
I know, I just...
Didn't even think about it. Weird plant magic, that's not... I trust the arcane. I follow the science. Alright.
Follow the signs, yeah.
Can you go ahead and roll a D100 for me? So it would be a percentile and then a D10. Never mind, actually.
Oh.
No, sorry. What'd you get, though?
55?
55. You would have been fine anyway. But
Yeah.
I learned something about the spell, as do you, that this teleport spell, it's a high-level spell, 7th level, so you have to go to the tower to find someone to do it for you. But there is a chance of mishaps, being off target or just not teleporting at all. However, with an object that had been taken from the area within the past 6 months, you pretty much guarantee success. And you guys have plenty of things from Amberville on your person that have been there within the last 6 months. So you guys get teleported back to Amberville without a problem.
Yay.
And we'll say at some point, maybe a few hours before you are supposed to be at this banquet feast that you all reconvene after the day that each of you individually have had, and learn basically that Durand, obviously you are attending, but it is also open to the rest, should you wish to.
Yeah, everybody's invited.
Do we have to wear fancy clothes again?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't tell you what to wear.
But are they kind of expecting it so?
Well, I can only speak for myself, in which I was told to be, to present myself well enough. So I am, although I don't know about you.
I don't know.
Alright. So,
Oh.
what's up? Sorry.
Well,
Go ahead.
they're kind of judging Durand. You know, they're here to make a decision about him. So, if we go, or if you choose to attend, you should probably try to make the best impression upon them that you could. I'm not really sure what a good impression, how to do that, but
Well, I don't often give it the best,
Isaiah speaks
obviously.
up. Alternatively, if we go simply dressed as, or rather, if you go, I think I'm going to sit this one out. If you go dressed pretty shoddily, it'll just make the land look even better by comparison.
So you're telling me to dress up in rags?
Rags, but you don't have to go through so much effort. I mean, honestly, he kind of like lowers his voice, kind of. Who really cares what they think of you anyway?
That is true. I don't care what they think of me, but if they're judging Durand based on us, then
I suppose then, kind thing to do would be to put some effort into it. But just
is this audible? Can I hear this?
make a perception check.
17.
Most of it, you got the gist. There are some words that you missed out on, but you got the gist of the conversation.
Well, I don't have too many options with my clothing. I have 2 dresses and some basic shirts and so on, but
I could put a seaming into your ring, and you could use it to have whatever attire you choose. Also, take whatever form you choose, I suppose. It's a very costly way, I guess, to simply do a wardrobe change, but it's doable.
tempting. But like you said, maybe it's a bit too costly, kind of.
Well, I mean, costly as in the energy expended into it, the energy of which I'm probably not going to do anything with today anyway.
Don't tempt me.
Come now, darling, you deserve it. Treat yourself. Whatever outfit you desire. Here. And he takes your hand and he places his other on top of it and casts a spell into it. I don't even know if you have it attuned or not, but whatever.
I mean, that can be easily ranged, though, tuning to it.
Yeah. So, Elevorn, you heard this conversation. Were you going to do anything about it, or are you just holding that knowledge?
I'm just staring angrily at him with my arms crossed.
Okay.
Silently. Staring angrily.
Let's see if he notices you staring angrily at him. He does notice you staring angrily at him. So as he's casting the spell into it, he kind of double takes towards Elevorn and looks from Elevorn to Metadion, who's sitting right next to him, and kind of is trying to basically follow your eyes and be like, "Oh wait," and he
I'm kind of like looking at him and then to Elevorn and then back to him. And
are you mad at me? Mouths that basically.
Just a slow nod.
Whispers to Metadion, "What did I do?"
I'm not sure completely.
I thought I was scared of
Head empty, not noticing anything.
Just kind of Duran's out there on in space, imagining every potential possible future.
Yeah. 100%.
All right. So, who shall be attending?
I guess I'll be.
Okay. So Nerodian, Taran, Era, Elevon, you guys as well, and
I don't know, man. I want to attend, but my heart is telling me no.
I've got reports to write. Sorry, guys. What?
I'll. Oh God. Okay. I guess I'll attend too. I'll be on my best behavior. I promise. I'll shut up like the entire time.
Elevon?
Eleanor just keeps staring at Isaac, lost in that world.
I have someone I need to yell at.
Oh no.
Go ahead.
So, throughout the day, any of you who have been in Ambervale, you have definitely noticed the sort of commotion, the effort, and the urgency of putting together this feast and banquet. The smell of cooked and smoked meats and bread have permeated Ambervale. And as Nerodian, Taran, Era go and get the finishing touches on getting ready for the banquet, the feast. Elorn, should you wish, you can confront Isaiah.
Murder him.
Whoa.
Yeah, I probably will spend time doing that. Or go find him or try to find him. I don't know.
Alright, so you're downstairs and you hear from upstairs Nerodian's door close, Isaiah saying something. It's kind of hard to hear, sort of muffled through the floor, but you hear his footsteps come round and you see him as he walks down the stairs.
You! And I point at him.
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't hear everything. And this is making me think maybe I shouldn't go tonight, but I feel that maybe you don't know things that you should know.
Perhaps. I try to minimize such things, but it is a possibility, I suppose.
So, nobody really cares what these other random people think about him. It's just that there's a lot riding on it. Like, things that are important to Durand. Like, really important to him. Like, his home, his family, his people.
You see the head tilt and like he's trying to somehow connect the dots between these two things that seem, at least to him, wholly unrelated.
We were summoned by the king. He wants us to go to Draconia.
Yes, I believe I was told something of that regard. I didn't realize that this was related, though.
If he isn't appointed, he won't have the support of the king, and thereby he won't have the ships to go and take care of this.
Seems strange, an odd stipulation, but who am I to question the monarch? I was not aware of how much exactly was riding on what seemed a trivial dinner. I didn't see it as much more than the little ensemble the Phoenix Academy put on?
They're trying to decide if they're going to name him as the Fang and Claw or something of his order, which is like making him very important to them.
If it is important, then I mean, I certainly wasn't intending it either which way of any sort of sabotage, and I suppose if comments offended, I do apologize.
Probably shouldn't get so mad, but I'm very nervous.
If they make any effort to understand and know Dran a fraction of the amount that the people here do, he'll be just fine. They should be getting out of all of yours way. Hopefully, it goes well for Dran and the rest of you. I suppose I shall hear about it in the morning. And he begins to head towards the front door. And as the hour of heading back to the Temple of Bahamut to attend this feast grows ever closer, each of you find yourselves ready in whichever way ready is to you, and heading in that direction. For some of you, a night of who knows what's going to happen. For others, this walk to the temple seems longer than it ever has before. But eventually, you approach the temple itself, the face of it, alight with light from flames, torches, like long torches stuck into the ground that are busily line the courtyard in front of the temple itself, that are just washing the building in light. The doors themselves, the two large wooden doors, are completely open, and again, more candle and torch and firelight is cascading out from the interior of the temple. Any opening, crevice, window, door, any part where light can escape from the temple is to the point where it's almost radiating light. There's a heavy sound of conversation. There's a crowd of these Aegis members that are chatting, talking, standing outside, as well as sitting at a table inside, which you can get hints of the food that had been cooking beginning to be laid out on the table and prepared. The smell of it wafting out and reaching you. Looking around, you realize that most of these people here, the initiates and members of the Aegis, are dressed in their usual Aegis attire. Some of them even seeming a bit grimy and sweaty from the day's work setting this up. Durand, with the care and preparation you took, you are gleaming compared to most of the people who have been sort of working at this all day. And soon you realize this isn't some big fancy event like the party at the castle in Brushburn or the ceremony for the Phoenix Academy. At least, not for the rest of these people. Ones who, like you, seem to have taken care and paid attention to their hierarchy yourself, the two wings, and Svenka. As you enter the yard in front and approach the temple itself, followed by Era, Elevorn, and Nedadian, let's go ahead and take a break. About what you've done.
Why did that sound like I made a mistake?
You didn't make
You sit there and you think about what you did.
You think about what you've done, and when we get back, you're gonna make it right. All right, see you guys in a bit. Is the break screen down?
Yeah.
Cool.
Does now.
So, all of you are currently standing in the courtyard, still some ways away from the temple. It seems like the group of Platinum Magus members are making their way into the temple. You hear the sounds of chairs being pulled out and adjusted and moved as people begin to find their seats. Durand, you stand there, flanked by Neradian, Elavorn, and Era. And sort of a last moment walking up here before entering, strangely, the unknown. The temple that had been a place of such familiarity to you. You don't know what to expect going in. Is there anything you want to do or say before heading in?
No, I'm gonna go.
Alright, so Durand begins to head in.
Elaborn's going to run in front of him and put her arms out. Like,
Huh?
to either side. Like, stop.
Is something wrong?
Where's your talisman thing?
Talisman?
You know, your pendant, your...
Oh, the symbol?
Yes,
I
that
have-
word.
I have it here. I can take it out and show it there.
No, show you. And I kind of like, as he's holding it out, I like move his hand if he lets me towards his face. And just like,
Oh.
this is why you're here, right?
Yeah, mostly.
So he's with you, right? Elborn nods a little.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is arguably the place I met him.
You're right. Elborn nods a little bit. And you just see that she suddenly like looks like a lot more calm, like this all makes sense.
So, together.
Well, actually, since Elavorn stopped Rand going, I'm actually gonna use the seeming on Rand. It's gonna make his armor bit more something to have like more oomph to it. It's just a bit more.
Okay. So it's nothing extravagant, but you cast the seeming spell on Durand, and you don't have so much like an aura, Durand, but your armor seems to reflect light more vividly, more brightly, more of a shine to it. And with all of the candles and torches that have been placed for this event, it almost does give off a gleam or aura, but nothing supernatural.
Okay.
And with a little bit of added confidence to face what may be inside, you begin to head in. And again, there's a lot of chatter and conversation happening. And as you enter, there's a lot of food, many cooked birds and red meats, as well as vegetables and breads, plenty of wine. All lined on the table, everyone's plates in front of them currently empty as of this moment, but much conversation going on. And as the four of you enter, led by Durand, your presence, your arrival is noticed. On the far end, closest to where the altar is, sits Svenford, and or rather stands Svenford, and he motions to an empty seat near him, to you, Dran. Elevorn, Nedadian, Era, you are forced to take seats where you can find and end up quite far from Duran himself, sort of near the middle or even the far end of the table, and even a bit split up from each other, just finding available seating. Elevorn, you end up sitting right next to Connor. Nedadian, Era, you find seats near each other and are sat pretty much flanking on either side of Varla, who had empty seats beside him. Devon, you make the long walk alongside the table to a seat about 2 seats away. There's one seat between you and Svenford that is currently empty, as well as the seat next to you is empty, as well as the one across from it. And looking around, you haven't seen the 2 wings since you've been in here. You take your seat, and Svenford just gives you a once over and very nice.
I try my best. With the help of my friends.
Nuts. Well, there still seems a few stragglers. You weren't the last to arrive, so we'll wait for them before we begin the evening's meal. So just relax.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing that. Aren't I?
Nothing. He continues to look over. Elevorn, around you, there's conversation. You kind of had a little bit of small talk with Connor, just kind of catching up, and you can hear other members of the Aegis speaking. Ones that are not from Ambervale and ones that you don't recognize, ones that had come in with the wings. And so that's Dran then, the one that everyone's been talking about. It would seem so. He certainly looks the part. Well, dresses the part, actually. It's a bit unfortunate, though, is it not? I suppose he seems to... I mean, he seems to have the right motivations at heart, but with all that's going on, how could they choose him? It would certainly be difficult. And then the conversation kind of either drops or gets lost in the sea of noise. Elevorn, Era, and Nedadian, make perception checks to pick up on any conversation going on around you.
Yeah, this. No.
No?
That's a 23.
Okay. Just a no? The number is no from Nedadian?
It was a 7.
You don't even care. You're just having a conversation with Varlock, who's very interested, it seems, in what his former clutchmates in the kobolds were up to, and the talking about the weird trap invention thing that Durandon had discovered. And you can see that there's a little bit of like that reminiscing and like remembering the past, but it's not. He's not. It doesn't seem like he's saddened by it, but more just a little bit nostalgic, like a happy nostalgia, like thinking back to his life before the ages, before all of these 2 months that he's spent in the ages.
I rolled a 17.
Okay. Is that with your modifier?
Yeah.
Okay. So around you, Daran, there are members of the Aegis, brothers and sisters in the order that you've not met before. Introductions and small talk, but pretty formal. Not too pressing, not too probing, nothing too judgmental, just simple, general. Era, you hear a rather loud conversation going on between Torban, who seems to have pre-gamed for this, and a few other members as he sort of boasts about all of the accomplishments of Ambervale and the Aegis and Durand and the others during the clash of the armies in Brushburn against the tyrant Corvath. And just the way that this gravelly voiced, boisterous dwarf describes battles and tells these stories, he has a small captive in it. Elevorn, your ears perked up to what you had heard before and kind of hone in on that conversation. You kind of get little bits of similar points happening from different points on the table, the gist of it being, well, with the potential war with Dracania and rumors spreading of the attack on Vasselholm by a group of romantic dragon, how could we possibly have a fang and claw like him? Unfortunately, I don't have to agree. It is quite tragic that politics have to make their way into our order, but such is the way of things if we want the crown and the public to let us operate the way we should. Not everybody, but you've heard at least 2-3 conversations in that vein.
You know, Connor, I was thinking that sometimes people get caught up on the color of things too often, and it's a little bit silly. You know what I mean?
As far as, I mean, kind of reading your face, not exactly hearing what you seem to have heard. Actually, let me see. Hold on. Perception check for Connor. He's on the same page. That's an 18 plus stuff, probably. So, indeed, it's quite silly, is it not? I mean, personally, I would not much care for the color of a shelter in a storm, provided it gave sufficient protection.
Exactly. If it's, safe harbor and, like you said, shelter, it's important. And it isn't necessarily the color, but the sturdiness, right?
Yes. The ability to protect is what matters. And the ones nearest to you that are kind of maybe like across the table and 2 seats away that had been having this conversation do overhear your loud personal conversation with Connor. And after you kind of talk to Connor and you meet their eyes, they kind of get the hint a little bit.
Just kind of quietly, like, thank you.
After the seats have been filled, with the exception of the 2 on either side of Svenkrid, the ones near the front of the table just next to where you're sitting, Daran. Svenkrid stands. And a wave of silence starting from where he's standing makes its way down the temple, down the table, until all eyes are looking forward to Svenkrid. He extends his hand out, taking his place as the scale bearer, the religious head of the order. And chairs get pushed away from the table as members of the Platinum Aegis members stand. Are you guys following suit?
Me too.
Era, Nera, Dion. Nera, you're just like hiding under the table. What are you doing?
No,
Passively
I'll
hiding it all.
follow.
Make yourself check.
She stands, but nobody sees you. What a curse!
So everyone's staring. What did you say?
I was just gonna say that I was probably just boasting a little bit about Durand. But then as I see Neri leave, I'll take suit and follow her.
Okay, so during your boasts, go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Ooh.
So, like, the conversation leading up to this point that you've been having.
18.
Okay. Alfred speaks with a strong voice, not yelling, but his voice definitely carries. Brothers, sisters, friends. We are gathered and bound here, not just by food, drink, and the walls of this temple, but by a joint sense of honor. Honor and respect for righteous innocence. By honor and correction to the enemies of justice and good. By honor and forbearance for oneself. And for justice and good above all. And as well as the other members of the order who recognize this dogma, this prayer, reiterate the line in one unified booming voice that almost shakes the rest of you as they repeat the final line, justice and good above all. With that, Svenkrid raises chalice of wine. Everyone else grabs their mugs, chalices, cups, whatever's in front of them that is full, filled with the wine, and raises it as well. You guys are looking around, following suit, but not 100% familiar with the customs and traditions of the Aegis as much as Durand and the others around clearly are. No one drinks. Instead, from the front, you hear footsteps, a pair of them, walking in lockstep in unison. The two wings, Justine and Lairworth. They begin to walk around the side, and they're carrying something between the two of them in a fine, polished wooden case with what seems to be silk cushioning lining it is a beautiful heater shield. It seems to be forged of gleaming steel lined with platinum, and as they pass by, almost like a wave, there is deference from the members of the Aegis, as if in the presence of something holy. And the two wings walk to the front of the table behind Svenkrid, where just at the foot of the Bahamut statue they place this case with the shield rested in it. Svenkrid stands a bit to the side so that the shield can be seen by all. As he stands there, one of the wings makes their way to the other side of the table to stand in front of their seats. As Svenkrid describes and gestures towards the shield. Honor is protection. This shield is designed after the very holy relic that gave our order its name, the Platinum Aegis. A divine implement blessed by Bahamut himself, bestowed upon his first champion, and used to thwart his enemies and protect his allies in the time of the Scourge. This shield represents everything that we are. And it is why we are here tonight, to determine who should be the next to be worthy of wielding it, to be the first in our line of defense against any and all who would threaten the good of the world. Determine who will be our order's next fang and claw. Justice and good, above all. And again, it's repeated by all, and this time Svenkrid raises the glass of wine to his lips, and the other members of the Aegis follow suit and take a drink of wine. The two wings, Svenkrid takes his seat at the front, followed then by the two wings alongside him, and then the rest of the table. And as you do, there's a bit of hesitancy amongst the non-members here. But almost immediately after sitting down, the sort of casual air of the feast and the banquet returns as members of the Aegis eagerly reach across and begin to grab food and place it on their plates and drink more of their wine and strike up conversation again. Sitting across from you and one chair over Taran is the half elf, Leo Worf. Sits unmoving, just examining the food in front of him, the cup of wine in front of him, the area around. Finally, his gaze falls on you. Still, not an utterance, but instead, the female who is now sitting next to you speaks up. Have you attended one of these before? One of a selection?
I haven't had the privilege, no.
Well, it is my understanding that you are relatively new to our order. Normally, the one is an initiate for years prior to becoming a full brother or sister. Yet, I understand you are a special case. It leads one to wonder how ready you could possibly be for a greater responsibility to the Aegis and to Bahamut.
I suppose Bahamut would know best.
Indeed, he would. Are you familiar with the role to which you have been nominated by the Scale Bearer?
Well, I have followed him practically ever since I met him. I would say I'm quite familiar. Yes.
And are you familiar with Brother Leoworth's and I's role within the Aegis? That of the Platinum Wings.
Yes, I got yes. I understand.
Well, this is a feast, please. Enjoy it. After all, it's, well, brothers and sisters here, at least the ones that have made the long journey to this quaint town. Haven't had an encounter or an opportunity to enjoy themselves like this in quite some time, so please do indulge.
Yes, I'll try my best.
Okay. So, are you guys beginning to feast?
Eat all the food.
Eat all the food. Melodion piles her plate high.
No, not really. No.
I'm eating scarcely.
Okay. You can see that around you, it's not, pinky up, fancy knife and fork stuff. There are members of the Aegis, like a seat or two away from you, that are just ripping into legs of bird and stuff like that. And, like, even, it's just after maybe 15, 20 minutes of this, and actually, are you partaking in wine as well?
Just a bit.
Okay. Elevorn, make a perception check. As I would assume, Elevorn, more than the others, is probably super keen on what's going on with Duran. And maybe even more nervous than him being so far away and not knowing what's going on.
23 again.
Okay. So you see it, you see this this woman, one of the wings, talking to him, and you're trying your best to see down the length of the entire table and read facial expressions or read lips perhaps, but you're not able. It's just too far away, unfortunately. Definitely too much noise and clatter and movement going on to get any uh, sort of bead on what's going on with Drum. Something you do notice, though, is he does seem a bit tense. He seems very, or at least a little bit, self-conscious.
So I'll pick up my napkin or whatever and pretend that I'm wiping my mouth, but I'm actually going to use my bracelet. And I'm going to say, I know that I said Bahamut is with you, because he is, but we are too. And, when they said justice and good for all, that is you. And then I will look towards him and smile a little bit,
Drum.
I have no fancy, clever way to hide my bracelet, so I'm going to just look back, smile, nod,
Raise a glass.
yeah.
And
Everybody, well, not everybody, but my friends, obviously.
Yeah.
yeah, I was
Little
going to say,
silent nod.
going to look towards Nertheon and Era in that moment too.
So, throughout all of this conversation and loud chatter and people reaching across the table, grabbing more food, people coming around, pouring initiates coming around and pouring wine, the four of you share just this moment where you guys give each other each air toasts and take a sip. I love one gags a little. But loosen up a bit, whether it be the wine or the knowledge that your friends are there too. That and Svenkrid is kind of, just giving you nudges like, he's by the time that you notice that Svenkrid is now on his second or third cup of wine, you realize that you could probably breathe. And as the hungers become sated, as the wine begins to run dry, And as people begin to finish their meals and the members of the Aegis begin to spill out into the courtyard to continue just conversations and just a general good time of brotherhood, essentially, brother and sisterhood. Justine again speaks to you, Durand. Tomorrow morning, you will be here early, just after sunup, and we will begin the true process of determining your worthiness. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Likewise. And you enjoy the night as well.
And the two wings get up and leave. Durand, make a perception check.
Uh, 18 total.
18. You realize that you've been sitting like pretty erect for some time, and after they leave the temple, you kind of relax even a little bit more. Like you had slowly begun to relax throughout the course of the night, but without those two presents, and perhaps specifically, the half elf who you notice, other than the customary sip, it seemed, his wine glass still full nearly, and his plate never had any food on it. Svenkrid stands with you as now the table is maybe a third less than populated with members of the Aegis. He says, "Don't let her fool you. She may have said that tomorrow the judging begins, but don't think for a second that tonight was not part of your evaluation."
I'll believe it.
Wish there was something I could tell you to prepare you for whatever it is they have in store, but as I said, no two that I've encountered have been alike, so I suppose the best I can recommend is a good night's sleep. Do not be late.
That least I can do.
I must confess that I know the importance behind you gaining this appointment. It inevitably leads to Draconia, to your home and your family. I say I must confess, there is a spirit of selfishness in me who simply wants to stand beside you, a scale bearer and fang and claw, leader in our order's spirituality, alongside the leader of our order in battle. We could do great things.
I think so as well. I mean, it's no surprise. I mean, I wouldn't be here if not for you.
I'm not 100% sure about. I believe you would have found your way to him regardless of me. It would be a shame if you hadn't. However, I can say with certainty of fact that I would not be here were not for you. He claps on the shoulder, and then kind of looks over your shoulder as Elevorn, that having seen the wings leave you and people beginning to get up, uh, you make your way up the table towards Duran as you see him beginning to stand up as well. Meridian, Era? Anything?
I'll just guess I'll just be sitting somewhere, just drinking slowly, watching things.
As people begin to disperse, Svenkrid says a temporary farewell to you, Duran. What are you guys doing?
I guess I'll talk into the bracelet and I'll just words of affirmation, if anything. Like, oh, we're always nearby if you need us.
Duran, Delavon? Anything? Neredion is sipping at some wine. Air is offering some words of encouragement. Is there anything else that anybody wants to do for the evening, or is it off to bed? And then the next morning, where apparently Duran's evaluation truly begins.
Livelorn is not going to turn into a squirrel and jump across the table to get it around faster. Definitely not. No. But she thinks about, like, she wants to do that, but she's like, there might still be people here watching, So she's like going to make her way towards Durant, like, but calmly, like,
An alternate universe somewhere.
I'm going home. Peace. Sleep.
Okay. Maybe a little bit tipsy, you make your way home.
I'll wave at Allah.
oh, when they get a little closer to him, I'll curtsy a little and say, sir.
I'll give my fanciest bow. Madam.
Yeah, Ella can't do that. So she's like clapping and jumping up and down.
Oh god. Elevon had a little bit of the sour fruit juice.
Me too. I bet that was my best bow ever.
Just.
Oh.
Go on.
So how did it go?
I feel good. I have high hopes. No reason I shouldn't,
Exactly. That is exactly yes. Mm-hmm.
In
Just kind of nodding.
the moment of, when the spotlight feels like it's on you, yeah, I'd admit I might have been a bit shaken. But, you know, I have good friends to remind me where I'm at, how I got here, and what this is all for.
Yeah, Narrative and Era are pretty great, aren't they?
Sure. Yes, and one extra special friend.
Oh. Elborn's going to like kind of just frown a little bit and try not. That's good.
My arms are going to extend to her. Like, I'm not going to say her, but I'm going to be like presenting. Presenting her to herself.
Elborn is going to jump towards Durant, but turn into a squirrel part of the way. So there's and then just like initial.
Okay. Well, that's enough of a sign to go home.
That you do get some, odd glances as you walk through out the top of the courtyard with a swirl on your shoulder. But,
I'm on cloud nine.
Plenty of people, just ones you recognize from Amberville, especially, greet you and give you kind of pats on the back. Others who have not met you personally do give you a bit of room and greet you kindly. Others still, probably fewer than what had started the night, are still skeptical on whether or not you're the right choice. But either through your own showing or some well-placed words by a tiefling friend, that number is small. And you head home. Get a night's rest before the next morning. Is there anything anybody wishes to do before the next morning at sunrise when dawn you are to return to the temple?
Is Isaiah at home sleeping?
He could be, yeah. He stays there, so.
Yeah, but it's just, because he left, so I don't know where he went and everything, so I don't know how long he's gonna be out.
Home easy. He's a wizard.
Yeah, but if he's like sleeping in the bed and
It's probably just lounging. It's not
lounging,
crazy.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I just gotta.
Just kind of get in there, collapse onto the bed.
A little, yeah, and
You've had a bit?
not much. Just
Much.
I don't know.
Well,
Just social
that's either you or
event.
someone around you.
Definitely.
You
I'm just
definitely-
mostly more from the social aspect.
It's overrated. Well, come on. Let's get to bed.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna snuggle him and then gonna like whisper to him like, oh yeah, Mom wants us to have dinner with her when I can come back.
You guys snuggling together and he's already like half asleep and you're exhausted and you call out to them, and like, you gotta just like deeply breathing, and you whisper this to him, and he shoots up, wide awake. What? When?
And I come back. So, like,
I mean, when? How many? 4 days. 4 days. It's not nearly
Giant-
enough time to prepare for something like this. Yeah, does she? She hates me, doesn't she? I met her a couple times, once or twice. We've barely spoken words, but I see judgment in that woman's eyes. Nothing wrong. I mean, I love her. She's great. She's your mother, and she's amazing. But
I'm just gonna pull him back down, and
I just feel like
it's gonna
we
be
have a good
fine.
relationship when you're the medium between us, you know?
It's gonna be fine. She doesn't hate you.
You know? He looks over to you and there's an obvious sarcastic note. And I might be rooting a little bit for the dragon at this point. And he pulls you in, and the two of you get to bed. Durand, Elavon, you are the last to get into sleep, back into your room. Just going to bed?
Yeah, that's what people do in their rooms at night.
Okay. Yep, that's all they do in their rooms at night. You're not gonna have a conversation?
Um.
I'm joking. Anyways.
Oh, that was that inside joke. No conversations are going to be had.
What, is Durand illiterate?
In this speak, yes.
Alright.
Yeah, like every single time a moment like this happens, you make me have like a flashback to that session that we had. Was it? It was like the chapter like 0, or like our session 0. Where Duran's mom was like, "You need to find yourself a woman."
Oh, moms. Anyway. At some point during the night, it's a bit of a pattern on the roof as it begins to rain. A light rain that persists throughout the night and continues after dawn. You head out, and it is still constant rain, not too heavy, but fairly windy. Who is joining Duran and who's sleeping in?
Mira is sleeping in.
Okay.
I will be up, but I will not be going.
Okay. Elavon?
Well, I would probably just ask Durand what I should do. I mean, because, like, if he wants to go by himself, he could. And, I would understand because, but also I could be a tiny little bug and hide.
I mean, no point in being a tiny little bug and hiding. I mean, if you wanted to come, I think.
Well, you're gonna be there, so That's and also, I don't know the rules.
You know, maybe I should just do this alone.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm here on the, and I motion to the bracelet. If you need anything, or, you know.
Yeah, I know I'm not alone.
Heads out. When you see him out, and then watch him continue along the road towards the temple through a sort of rain-spattered window. Theron, you make your way. The muddier bits of the road and ground here in Ambervale are kind of begin to splatter under your footsteps as you make your way towards the temple. As you get there, you can see the courtyard is lined with the members of the Platinum Mages. Already. It's not like the night before where there were stragglers coming in a little bit later on. It seems like everyone is here. They are in formation. They are ready for what may come. There's an aisle between two crowds of these people. Their backs towards you, although their necks crane around to look as you approach and walk past them towards the face of the temple. Standing there in the rain and wind are Svenklid in the center, with Leoworth and Justine at his flanks. And behind them are three flags, three pennants that are along the wall to the side of the temple and attached to what looks like rope in some form of pulley system. On the leftmost pennant, it seems like it looks like a effigy of Bahamut, the platinum dragon, woven with brilliant silver thread. In the center is a crest that represents the Empire. And on the right is one that bears a resemblance to your pendant and is a symbol of the Platinum Ages. So you have Bahamut, the Empire, and the Platinum Ages. And through the sound of raindrops hitting the ground and wind whipping past, for the first time, the silver-haired half-elf speaks. Gesturing to each of the pennants, each of the flags in turn. Bahamut. The symbol of all that is just and good. The one around which those who have come before us had rallied. The one around which our order was formed, and the one each of us serves, both personally, individually, and as brothers and sisters. He moves on to the next one. the Empire and all of its people. Those who our order has sworn to protect from the enemies of justice, from the enemies of good, from the tyrants and creatures that would prey upon the weak and innocent. The people, the Empire, and innocence everywhere. He gestures towards the last one. The Platinum Aegis. You, your brothers, your sisters, the places we have built and called home, the relationships, the bonds we have forged with each other. Our home, our family. Each of these holds dire significance to not only myself, but to each and every one of us. And when looking inward, looking to your convictions, to your purpose, to your obligations, they are easy to abide by, easy to fulfill when these three elements agree. But there are times where we will be tested. There are times where we will be tried, and these three tenets may not align. It is at that point, that moment, where we must have courage beyond anything that we have ever shown before. The courage to make a choice. Duen, come forth.
I go.
You walk out in front of the dozens, maybe 60 or so other brothers and sisters of the Aegis, out in front of them towards Leo Worth, and in front of these three pennants. He looks to you and continues, reiterates almost. It is easy to fight when all of one's beliefs, convictions, ideals, and obligations align. But what will you do if they do not? And then, talking past you but still to you, Duen, you shall raise each of these flags, each of these pennants, in order of what you personally deem most important. And with the rain striking against his face, he stands to the side to leave you with your back to everyone, looking at these three pennants in front of you. The ropes attached to them, attached to a pulley system ready to be raised in whichever order your heart decides. Svenkard watching on, just the most imperceivable, almost nod of encouragement. You can feel the silence, the eyes on the back of your head, nothing but the wind past your ears and the cold rain against your skin in this choice in front of you.
So last is most important.
Okay, so you go to the Platinum Aegis one that represents your brotherhood, the family of the Aegis, and you raise that to the top.
Wait, no. I'm saying, what's the
Sorry.
last is the most important one?
No, the first one. So
The
you're
first
gonna
one's the most
basically
important.
Yeah, you're gonna raise one all the way to the top, and then basically the way it's configured is only one could be at the highest point. Once another one comes in, the other one would go down. So you have to
I
rank
see.
each of these essentially.
So then the most important one would obviously be Bahamut, the left one.
Alright. Straight for the pennant of Bahamut. Taking it with confidence, or is there any hesitation?
No hesitation, no.
No hesitation. With confidence, not even giving too much of a thought to the other two. You're set, and you raise the first flag, the first pennant, all the way to the top, where it gets caught and whips in the wind. You can hear the rustling and the slapping of the cloth against the temple behind it. Two more.
Next would be the Aegis.
You
Oh, the
walk
last
past- You walk past the pennant of the Empire and the people, and you raise the Aegis. The second highest position now. Not even a murmur from those behind as you turn, having made your decision.
And lastly, the Empire.
Last one, the Empire and its people. It's raised to the third position. So we have Bahamut, the Aegis, the people. No discerning looks, no judgment in the eyes or face of Leoworth or Justine behind him. Very well. Follow us, please. And walking past Svenkard, the two wings of the Platinum Aegis make their way up into the temple, you following behind. The rest of the order that is currently here in this courtyard, looking up at the three flags, the three pennants, as the doors close behind you. And you follow Justine and Leoworth to the front of the temple. Behind you, actually entering as well, is Svenkard, but he's keeping his distance, more of an observer here. Now in here, despite being soaked, drenched through in rain, the two wings maintain their composure, their posture, and Leoworth falls back into that serious, steely persona. And his eyes, probably now more than ever, are just searching you, searching your eyes, as if attempting to peer into your soul, your truth, with each answer that you will give. as Justine opens up the question. Durant, do you wish to become the Fang and Claw of the Platinum Aegis?
Yes.
Why?
Uh, for any reason, I would say, speaking truthfully, I have personal reasons, but I would say more importantly than all of that, I feel I have a duty to fulfill.
This duty cannot be done without this appointment, then? Is your current status within the Order unfulfilling in any way?
No, I wouldn't put it that this is my current status in the order is unfulfilling. I feel I want to do more. For the order, for the people, and of course for Bahamut.
It's not clear. The Order in which place lies outside. No matter. As Fang and Claw, you would be expected to lead your brothers and sisters against the most dangerous threats. Justice to good on a cosmological level is far stranger, far more devious and deadly than those upon which your name has been attached. I mean not to discredit or undermine any of your feats or previous efforts. But Fang and Claw is not simply one who fights. It is one who fights and fights and fights. Even in the face of death. I ask you, what is the least you would be willing to die for? What is the edge? Would you die for any of your brothers and sisters outside? Would you die for all of your brothers and sisters outside? What is it that you would die for on the lowest level?
If you've heard or if you haven't heard, I've definitely been placed in many different scenarios, where I would not stop fighting for anything, as long as it was just reason. I've stared in the face of death almost literally, and I have pushed on.
Justice, then, is your answer?
Yes.
Or just reasoning? All truth be told, you are a very strange case. Very strange nomination and recommendation from the scale bearer, and probably someone whom without that recommendation we would not even look towards for this appointment. Should you prove yourself worthy, should this be the task, the burden and obligation bestowed upon you, it will not be easy. Not just in the face of enemies who would wish you harm, but in the face of friends who may wish you harm as well. In the face of innocence, in the face of the citizens who will look upon you because of what you are. Feel you are not worthy of the position. You must understand. You were there. You've seen those who slaughtered so many in Vasselhoop. Your actions cannot simply speak if you are to overcome what others may see you on the surface. Your actions will have to scream. They will need to scream incessantly just to keep eyes from doing the judgment that one's mind and heart should. You need to work. Sorry, go ahead.
Duran kind of winces a little bit, remembering Vasselholm, exactly what she's speaking of. It's a moment of just heightened emotion because I think for the entire moment that she's been speaking, he's been focused like a soldier in position. But he remembers that, and he understands probably all too well what that means. Thinking back to Vasselholm and what happened, then even something that could be thought of as smaller, but it affected him probably no less, is when he was in Alpont and the child threw a stone at him. The words that he said to him. He shrugged it off in the moment. He had everyone looking at him, so. But he understands. He might have even noticed it last night. I'm not entirely sure what he could have heard from people whispering on the far off in the audience, but he knows the looks he's received from the moment that he's gotten here. And to that, I think he would say, at the first moment that he can, I understand that, probably all too well. If I was probably anyone else, I could have just stayed in a small farm on Crestfield when I arrived here and done nothing. Probably lived a calm, quiet life. But I haven't. It's not in my nature. So ever since the moment I've arrived here, and I would like to think in little tidbits even before I've arrived in the southern provinces, I've fought for good as best as I could. I would say it's been more prevalent since I've arrived here because of that same reason. It's not like I feel bad about it, sort of, but I feel I have something. I guess you put it best. I feel like I have something that my actions need to be consistently shouting to the heavens so that all can hear. And that is a bit of what drives me.
She takes this all in, and there's even a small change in contemplation and understanding from Leaworth as you say these things. Bit of a softer tone, Justine continues. I understand it must have been a struggle during your time here in the Empire, and over the time that you've been here, you have fought and clawed and achieved so much, and it's led you here. To this moment, standing before us. This appointment would not mean you've made it. It would not mean that all of the prejudice, all of the looks, all of the anger, all of the misconceptions about you have been absolved and will go away the moment that you're appointed, would be appointed, Fang and Claw. The opposite is true. Your appointment would draw more scorn, more ire from those with that within them. You will have to fight harder to maintain your own dignity, your own honor in the face of an ever-growing monster that you cannot put a sword to? Is that a task you are willing to undertake?
Duran looks at her and nods and says, "Yes, I am."
Very well. I believe the last question then would be one less ideological, and more practical. Of course, as the Fang and Claw, your primary duty would be to lead against any number of enemies to the Order and to Order itself, of any multitude of strengths and dangerousness. And while what you have done is, without doubt, impressive, it is not unheard of. Nor is it the only such account of members of the Aegis facing creatures such as those that you have faced, and so there is the question of your capabilities. Svenkrid from the back. If I might, Honorable Wings, a suggestion then, to put minds at ease. Very well, Scalebearer. What is it? As you know, there is an enemy here in the provinces, one that will be confronted soon enough. What better way for Durand to prove his worthiness as a defender of the Aegis against all of its enemies, than to face down the physical embodiment of that which stands against what is at our very core, a red dragon, and all of its malice, fury, chaos, and evil. How better could he prove himself? She looks to Leo for it. He gives a slight nod. Very well then. That should be the test. You must prove yourself, Durand. You must be seen, one, that your brothers and sisters would follow confidently into any peril. And as such, you must stand above the others as Fang and Claw, and as such, this task shall be done without any Aegis aid. I understand that you had intended to do so anyway. But to slay this dragon, and do so not just for the people of the provinces, not just for the glory, honor, and reputation of the Aegis, but because it is a creature so vile and so opposed to Bahamut himself. Do this, and we shall make final judgment on whether or not you are to be our Fang and Claw. Svenkard has since taken a step back out of the conversation.
I will. I promise to everyone here and present that dragon will be defeated.
Very well. I believe that is all for now.
Thank you. Be seeing you very soon.
She nods, and you hear, before you turn to leave, Svenkard turns to leave, and you turn to follow. As you walk through the temple towards the doors leading back out to the courtyard, the voice of the silver-haired half-elf Leoworth calls out and echoes through the temple. Durand!
I'll turn around.
As you leave, take a good look at the flags which you have placed and burn that image into your mind, your heart, your very being. Whether or not it's how Justine, how Svenkard, or any of your brothers and sisters would have placed those flags, it is how you place them. Be true to that.
I'll nod and I'll say, yeah, my actions must shout to the heavens, no?
With that, Svenkard opens one of the doors, you open the other, and exit onto the courtyard where the members of the Aegis, somewhere buried in there, you spot familiar faces: Connor, Tanner, Torban, Varlock, Abel. And as you head back out, still raining, a little bit less windy, you turn back and you can see 3 flags that you had raised. Take a moment just to stare. With a deep breath, you turn, head back towards home, back towards this dragon. And that's where we'll pick up next time.
Boogers.
What'd you say?
Poggers. Very nice.
The rails. Woo! Hey guys, so how about that dragon?
What dragon?
Man, can you imagine if we did this last week and I'd be like, yes, I will.
You could have used the text to
Text to speech. Yes, I will.
Told you, Dune. Told you before the session.
I mean,
Did it
true.
help you prepare?
No. Oh no. I tackle each one of these things head on. Apply directly to the forehead.
Man, it's like I want to start with that level. Like I want to go for another like 4 hours. Like it's like I got Dune. Dune got to that point. That Dune's a shining star point. And it's like why does it have to be like at 11:45 that this happened?
It's alright, I ride the wave. I just take this into the next session. It's not that far away. What is that? Freaking like 4 days away?
Yeah, hopefully, unless I have my work gets involved again, which it seems to be doing a lot. But we'll see.
Well, if Wednesday isn't happening, I can do any other day, sure, but except Saturday.
Okay.
Good to
Find another
know.
one.
Hopefully, we'll hopefully figure something out. But anyways, yeah, good session. I had I gotta start making more notes on these things.
Do you do these kinds of speeches just like that?
I had the names of the wings, right? I had Svenkrid's like pre-meal prayer thing, and I had basically I wrote down rank these in order of personal significance, and then Bahamut, the people, and the Platinum Ages, and that's all.
Bahamut the people. I love it.
Wait, shut the fuck up. So that entire fucking speech inside there with the questions is just like, here you go.
Oh yeah, I didn't. Well,
Oh
I wrote
my.
for the line of questioning. I wrote down. Let's see. Can you read that?
It was like, what?
Do
Like,
you wish
didn't
to
even
be-
questions.
Do you wish to become Fang and Claw? Why? And then there's the flag thing underneath it, and that's it. No, the speech about Duran being a blue dragonborn and all that stuff. No, that was off the cuff. Yeah.
Holy biscuits.
I mean, yours was too, so it's not that, and it's
I mean,
equally impressive. Yours is probably more so because you're reacting to this stuff.
Oh, but that's like the only thing I'm good at.
Well, it's a good thing that you're not the DM then.
Right.
'Cause your whole job is reacting.
Right, true.
Dune is gonna do a one shot for us.
Please.
Only if you guys lead literally everything. I'll set the scene.
The first thing I'm
go.
going to do is walk away from the rest of the party.
Same.
If anyone tries to leave the group, they get instantly assassinated by someone around the corner.
That is fine.
Oh shit,
I'll
where
take
did that
that.
guy
Like,
come from?
okay, sure. You turn to leave the group, but you don't instead.
It's whatever character I'm playing is going to like lasso you back in somehow.
Oh, perfect.
It's like, do you
You'll be
want to go on
saved.
this quest? Hey, you want this quest? It's like, nah, I'm going over here. It's like, okay. So as you turn to say no, you say yes instead. And
Yeah, that'd be my DMing.
Alright. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.